evening, Second Baptist Church, and welcome to
His name say, and yea, though I walk, through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they will comfort me. They will comfort me. They will comfort me. Thank you, Lord. He preparest a table before me in the presence of my
Good evening, Second Baptist Church, and welcome back to Family Check-In. We hope you were blessed by the selection that the Power Team rendered on today. We had such a high time in Jesus and how we are blessed with our music ministry and all that they do for us to lead us in worship. Amen. Amen. I hope you enjoyed it, because I did, and we always enjoyed the music from Minister Thomas Jennings and the rest of the ministry. Amen. Amen. But as I said earlier, before we went to our selection, we have a wonderful guest on today, a sister, a daughter of Second Baptist Church, and we thank God for Sister Indra Owens, who is here with us. We're going to chat it up a little bit and have a good time together. Welcome, Sister Indra, to the show. We're so happy and elated you decided to join us. She is here with us in the studio via Zoom, so she's in the virtual space with us today. We thank God for her and her coming to fellowship with us even now. So how you doing today? What's been going on with you?
How are you?
Let me first say, I thank you. I love you and your wife.
Amen.
I thank your wife for her diligence. Lourdes and I, we've been texting back and forth now for months, and we just continue to encourage each other. When it's the right time, it's the right time.
Yes.
And so I just thank y'all for having me on. I thank Pastor Days and First Lady for even creating this type of platform, because, like you said,
Absolutely.
even in a time when we weren't connected, we still had the opportunity to be connected even in the virtual space. So I'm excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. We thought about a couple different ideas of shows kind of earlier in the year, I would say around fall, and we did not get a chance to have you on together, but that was still in the back of our mind that at some point we were going to have you on here. We're going to fellowship and chat it up and just have a good time with you. And we're so glad you've made it to be with us in the virtual space. I understand that yesterday for the NAACP, you were awarded with the Youth Award. Can you just talk to us a little bit about that, and how that made you feel, and what that kind of looked like for you in that experience? Were you expecting it? Were you not expecting it?
You know what? It was truly an honor. I was excited about the accolade, because actually, even though it's kind of new to the community, because everything just manifested yesterday.
Right.
But I thank Brother Colleen Shabazz and Yolanda Esquire, his vice president for the NAACP, because I had actually gotten a notification that I was going to be honored a few years ago, but then, in light of COVID, things kind of took a pause.
Sure.
So I thank NAACP for their diligence, because, a lot of times, especially in the role as educator or mentor or, school counselor, we don't always get the thank you or the validation, and not that we do work for that reason, but
right.
As I said to them, it's nice to get a thank you, but when you're a local organization like the NAACP that is actually even on a more international scale as well, when they say thank you, I really felt it, and I appreciated the honor. It was like a love fest in the room. It was really nice just to be in community again with so many other trailblazers. I mean, I'm not the only person in this area who authentically serves kids, and so
Sure.
I mean, it just felt really good. It felt really good, and I was just extremely honored, and it was really just nice to be outside again.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're really excited, and just to have you on for the work that you do in our community. There's a verse, I had to look it up just to make sure. It's Proverbs 12:20 that says, those who promote peace, those who are counselors have joy. And I thought of you initially when I reached out first as a school counselor and the work that you do, and also, like you said, a youth educator and the work you do at Princess Inc. So I just wanted to ask, what drew you to this work? Why is you have such a passion for the youth that you do?
You know what, Sister Lourdes, that's a really good question. Autumn and I, my best friend and business partner, when we even initially started the groundwork of Princess Inc., just looking back now, after 10 years, we always say, like, who knew but God that, he would choose us to do such a work. And that even, collectively, we do Princess Inc., but even on the side with our own individual projects, even like how the Lord used COVID in a time where there was so much other unrest going on. He gave me such a peace and a joy at home to even do the Trust Your Journey project with Journey, my 11-year-old, where like I just felt like, redefining mental health in urban communities, starting with my own hood as Atlantic City, was more than important. That I would be really a disservice if I'm calling myself a school counselor and didn't do more, because I know the resilience that it took with just myself and my one child at home to educate at home and still be a mom and still be a professional. Absolutely. And initially the first 2 weeks when we had to quarantine, it was all good. We still had that same stamina, but as the weeks went on, I had to really bring out some more of the strategies that I talk to students and families about, and I really had to employ them at home.
Yeah.
That's their journey, because we're gonna be home. We're not gonna be like button heads, because this is our safe space.
Sure.
And we had to up the ante using our own strategies. And so I said,
Right.
what, we gotta share this with our community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that you said that, talking about a safe place. That was one of the silver linings during the pandemic. As believers, even though we were in home, we found a safe place in Jesus first,
Yeah.
and in each other. And how was that with the students? We're now 2 years in the pandemic, post-pandemic. How have they been affected by this time? Because younger, they have outlets like the phone, they're on TikTok, but how are they, in times if you talk to them, how have they been coping?
Oh man, that's such a good question. You know what? And if I can be really honest, our children, I'm gonna say we're trying to maybe doing the best that they could to cope as kids, but for a lot of the families that I serve, it's sad to say, but our kids were in homes that are aggressive. And so our kids have come back to school with a lot of aggression. That's what I've noticed as a school counselor.
Okay.
And it's just really taken a lot to get our kids to readjust to being in community after being home for 2 or 3 years and not having that social emotional connection with their peers, with other mentors and teachers. And Lord, we gotta keep our kids in prayer. Because we might think that they are not idle when they have things to do on their cell phones or TikTok or Snapchat, but those aren't really safe spaces for them.
Yeah. That's good.
And I was going to say, and I just thought about this, what do you think are some ways, that we can create safe spaces for our children wherever they may be in the home? All of us had to stay there. I believe that COVID affected all of our mental health in some way. I know me. I am an extreme extrovert.
Always did.
And so, I was getting a little beat up there for a minute, having to stay home. I don't know what it, so, I had to deal with myself internally, mentally, to say that, I'm good. This is not the end. There is more. Keep myself busy, do things that I might like to do around the house. But what are some things we can create for young people? Because a lot of times, they won't say anything.
Yeah.
And they might be in some kind of, maybe poor mental state, but they won't never say it. What can we do to maybe combat that? Or is there maybe signs that would tell you right away?
Well, you know what, that's a good question, because what I've been actually doing with a lot of our students, and again, I'm passionate about the things that I share because I use them at home.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of times we can't be passionate about anything if we don't believe it ourselves. And so I saw certain things that I was doing at home with Journey actually working. And I said, this is working for the both of us. That's why we need to share. And so one thing you said that I want to highlight, because sometimes even the little things we do, we don't think are having an impact, but they are. And that's self-talk.
Yeah.
So, just like we self-talk negatively, it's an upside to that when we self-talk to ourselves in a positive way.
Yes.
Right? Because it's all still about the mental programming. And so we did a lot of positive self-talk and positive reframing. So even on days that maybe when we were in quarantine, it was raining outside, where if it was like the old normal, we would just kind of stay in and say, well, it's raining, let's watch a movie. But because we were already in, I used to say to Journey, come on, let's go ride our bike even in the rain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we were so confined to our homes at that time. But I talk to our kids too, because you're right, because a lot of times our kids do struggle with articulating how they feel. I use emojis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So every morning I start the day, I ask Journey, how'd you sleep last night? And then I ask her to articulate how she's feeling now. I mean, at this time, she can kind of uses her words more at 11.
Right.
But with parents or anybody who are struggling with starting that meaningful conversation with our teens or with our children, use emojis. That can at least start the conversation.
That's good.
Yeah, we can use emojis.
I love it. I worked with Children's Church before the pandemic, and I just started helping with the LIP program and Mrs. Charmaine. And it's so interesting if you just take time to really hear.
Yes.
They are talking, even if they're not verbally talking. And I found sometimes just being present.
Yep, and being there, absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just agreeing with everything.
Good. That was good. No, and I love that you shared that, meeting them where they are. And they're on TikTok, so I downloaded TikTok. I'm not doing the dances. That's where I cut it. I'm like, look, we're not going.
Me either, but I did download it too because you're right.
Let's not go too far.
We better know what they're into.
Yeah.
That's how we meet them where they are. You're right. We don't have to necessarily always engage, but we have to know the platforms. That's why I think that us talking about mental health is so important, because they're already using the language. And so I said, well, why would you commit to depression? But they're hearing it. They're seeing it. So if we don't know the language too, and then know how to combat those things with some healthy stuff, they're already talking about it.
Absolutely.
They're already being exposed to, suicidal ideations and depression and anxiety, and they're willing to commit to those things if we're not saying anything else to them. A lot of times when I'm dealing with a lot of our Black and brown kids, the first thing they say to me when they're being sent to my office is, I know I need anger management. And I said, who gave you that prescription?
Told you that, right?
Who told you that?
Right.
Why are you so ready to commit to being angry?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're getting the language.
Yeah. And who, the intent of whom when they said it to you.
Okay.
I was doing a workshop with Lit, and we were doing resumes, and one of the students, he didn't want to do it, and I'm like, let me sit back and see why. And there was some literacy there. And he was like, as soon as he spelled one thing wrong, Indra, he was like, I'm stupid. I'm like, who told you that?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to spell out that word.
As long as I can't spell.
That's why we got Google search. I'm like, who told you that? Was it yourself? Like I said, your self-talk, or is it someone in your environment? You're around you in school. Like, where's that coming from? I think different. I think you're very smart. It's just this one word that you and I are going to have to figure out on Google together and try to frame that. I agree with you.
I think one of the things that were really powerful that was brought up, and I think, Indra, you may have mentioned it, is meeting them, the youth, where they are. Kind of like you coming to them. Because sometimes they can't come to you. They could be in a mental space where they're just not, ready to do that. But there are some of us who are trained that can see that, and we can kind of come to them, and meet them even from a mental standpoint where they are, and maybe try to start, if I can metaphorically say, take off some of those, poor mental blinders that they maybe have been trapped in for so long, just to say, hey, it is shining behind these blinders that you've been trapped in. There is some light kind of at the end of the tunnel. I know me, and many people don't know this, and I try and mention as often as possible. In my old church, I helped lead youth ministry at Mount Zion in Pleasantville under Dr. Sanders. And so, one of the things I always saw growing up and always tried to do was to meet youth where they were. Not trying to change them, but meet them where they are and see how can we help them, mentally, be at peace. Because we don't know what they go through at home all the time. We don't know what they're being force-fed. We don't know what they're saying to them, if they're encouraging them or discouraging them. We don't know. And so we try to create the space where that, okay, if you come here, you're going to be encouraged, you're going to get fed, you are a beautiful Black woman, you are a handsome young Black man, you are strong, you are somebody, and I think it's important to, as you said, meet them where they are and then create that space for them so that they can have something even when they go away. I feel like to help combat, because I think those are some of the things people will remember.
That's good.
Yes,
Even if I get into something that's a little, or maybe someone says I'm something. No, I remember Sister Indra said I'm beautiful. I remember Sister Indra said, I am strong. I can take this. I can get through this. And stuff like that makes the difference. And that's really something we all have to do, even for those watching, kind of like, meet your kids where they are. I agree. Change you, but we want to try and at least have a connection so that you're not kind of in that mental space.
I agree, and it's almost kind of, just to even highlight again the Proverbs verse that your wife shared.
Yes.
I've been following the Taraji P. Henson. She's a celebrity, but she has a campaign and a platform for mental health too. Okay. And one of her hashtags is that joy is a birthright.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of times our kids can't really believe that or feel that because, we haven't all been dealt the same deck.
Yeah.
And so, your circumstances might not necessarily show any signs of joy at all, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you still can't take control of your own narrative.
Exactly.
And just like you were saying too, even with our kids, we have to engage. So the whole platform or the framework of the Trust Your Journey project is to engage, educate, empower, and equip. And Brother Kevin, you can't even imagine how many of the students who I connect with who rarely say that they get compliments.
Wow.
Imagine, I mean, our lives are 365 days a year. Imagine never getting a compliment. So even the little things, when I see some of the students in the hallway, I mean, as a school counselor, sometimes they're like, "Dad, Miss Owens, everything, you get all the tea, you the queen creep, because I noticed that you got that haircut and I like it."
Right.
Well, you got new shoes, I like those. When you see them pick up something, in the cafeteria or trash or things that that is showing that they have integrity. I saw you do that. You didn't even know I was watching.
Yes.
It's good.
Yeah.
They need all that type of edification because they're not getting that at home.
Sure.
Oh, you know what? Let me say this. We have to assume they're not getting it at home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's good.
Absolutely.
We're in our 30s, and I feel like at 30, the generation is so different. And there's such a pull with social media and other platforms like you were sharing that will tell them a narrative about themselves. So I agree with you. We have to do all the more to affirm them. And what worked for our generations before, I'm not saying that it can't work, but it has to look a little different because it's a different time. Simple stuff like my mom would let me go outside with my friends. I'm like, Mom, nowadays they can't just go out anywhere by themselves like how we used to. The same integrity in wanting to do it, but having to make sure they're safe because there's so many different other options. So I saw a beautiful picture of Journey. She was getting photos and she looked like the queen that she is. How's Journey been? Is she doing stuff as well? Because she has great pictures too.
You know what? Journey's doing good. If COVID didn't share anything else with me, I think, it showed me that pace is important too.
Okay.
And if we have to connect this to mental health, I think a lot of times, we're okay in being busy because busy is better than being idle, but busy doesn't necessarily mean productive.
Right.
And so if the Lord didn't show me anything else during COVID for me, like you were saying, Brother Kevin, how I had to really enjoy being around me because that's all we kind of had in the house. Is that I had to start really defining what pace meant to me.
Okay.
And as soon as I really kind of slowed down, and even though during Princess Inc. and everything else we were doing in the community, Journey was right there. But I almost kind of felt like, but was I present?
Right.
And so it really gave me a great opportunity to just be even more of a partner and a parent for Journey's development right now as she's a pre-tween because, a lot of times our parents, we believe as they get older, they need us less, but they actually need us more at this age.
Oh, yes.
Bless.
And so I'm glad that, I had that time to be in the house with her and to really, and even now, because now I believe our relationship is even stronger. That's why I believe in family and community engagement. I mean, please, Journey and I was having Uno tournaments, right? But I saw her grow even through that because, a lot of times, our kids might first show up as like sore losers, but they have to be trained, right? They have to be trained to have a healthy competitive energy. So I kept saying, come on, keep playing me. Keep playing me. And and now we play doing pylons and she's beating me now.
How the tables turn.
That she's developed and playing Uno. So, she's doing really well. Journey is the type of kid that is definitely using that other side of her brain. So she's extremely creative and she's into all genres of music. She likes to dance. She likes to model. She's into like cosmetology. So I'm excited about continuing to support her in that. But she does know that the social emotional part is so important. She was one of the students who couldn't wait to get back in the school building. As much as our kids might have said, I'm happy with being home or I don't like to go to school. I'm telling y'all, the schoolhouses are filled.
Yes.
They ran back.
Yes.
Because, they couldn't articulate it, but they knew they missed the connection.
Right.
Yeah, so she's doing good. Thank you for asking about her. She's just getting big. All our kids, they growing up.
I know. I saw some of the kids from children's church, and they're taller than me. I said,
They're taller than us, more than
I recognize some of them.
It's just 2 years. I'm like, okay.
I recognize some of them.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited. And please tell Mom we say hi to. And happy
Absolutely.
Mother's Day as well to her. And
Yes.
we're just excited. You have any upcoming?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, you can.
You have any new initiatives that she'll be doing soon?
That's where I was.
Really? Oh, okay.
You know, I'm just, again, on this campaign and on this platform, personally and professionally, just to continue to redefine mental health in urban communities, starting with Atlantic City first. I like to share resources. I am a huge advocate on counseling and therapy. I think that this is a time that, even though COVID did put a highlight on the urgency of mental health, I've been talking about it way before COVID. And we know that it can no longer be taboo in our communities.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you know, a lot of times people may not necessarily believe in counseling, and I'm not saying now go ahead and bombard our pastors and our ministers, but if that's the first step you take so that they can, you know, connect you to other resources, do that. Because we all need an objective opinion on how we're behaving and how we're thinking. And we all need that. So as a school counselor, I use a lot of the resources locally. I know that our parents sometimes don't have the transportation to get to certain places. So I'm a big advocate on mobile responsive perform care. If you Google it, it'll come right up. They are a crisis management and like stabilization for families in our area in New Jersey. And as soon as you call, if you feel like you or your children are in crisis and they need support, they'll push right in and come to the home within 3 to 5 hours.
Wow, very cool.
So we got to just know that these type of resources are available and that they are free, and it's not taboo to get support.
Yep.
Yeah, we all like need support because, you know, if we're not resilient, we bend and we break. But resilience isn't about, you know, not necessarily having bad times. It's about not breaking through them.
Sure.
So
I have to ask because you're here, and you know, there's something I always thought about. Maybe why is it? Do you think, you know, in your own opinion, it may be so difficult for, you know, those of us in the Black and brown communities to do any type of counseling, or what's that kind of fear or premonition they may have against that? Because I know for myself, you know, I'm not super big on counseling from that minute space. But, you know, I know it's something that is healthy, something that gives you that space to talk and get, you know, your stuff on the table so you can see what you need to work on. But can you speak to maybe where those fears come from, or, you know, how they maybe were created over the years?
I want to say, I believe 2 things are happening. I think that first, as a community, we have trust issues.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of the systems in place that are supposed to protect and serve all don't necessarily always protect and serve us.
Yeah.
So I think that as a community, culturally, we have trust issues. And then secondly, I think that representation is important. So I think that once we do want to believe in counseling or therapy, I think that then it's hard for us to connect with people who don't necessarily represent what we look like. And so I think that those are 2 reasons why we are resistant to counseling and therapy, is because of our trust issues. And then a lot of times when we do reach out, none of the therapists or the counselors look like us.
Yeah. That's good.
And I mean, those things matter. And just like you were, Brother Kevin, just to kind of pinpoint on something that you said. So, I mean, even if, you know, a lot of us aren't like heavy believers or advocates in counseling, but, you know, I'm pretty sure the relationship that you have with Pastor Days, you're getting everything that you need. Because iron sharpens iron. Or, you know, you're in your marriage, like, you know, that's a safe space for you to share and vent as a man emotionally and what you're going through. And so just imagine people that don't have that.
Right.
You know, that's why mentorship is so important.
Absolutely.
That's why the covenant of marriage is so important.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we need sometimes at least one other person to do that. Am I crazy, Jack? Is this
not me. Come on.
Can I say this out loud? Does this make sense?
Bounce this off you.
So we need that. I call those vent buddies. We need that.
Oh, yes.
You know, a lot of times, people nowadays, because, you know, I think reality TV, the precipice to really kind of like make social media go wild. It's like, you know, we'll share our vulnerabilities and very sensitive things with the virtual world first.
Before.
Easy.
You know?
That's crazy.
So, you know, we gotta like, it's just we gotta change our mindsets.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I remember when we got married, Some of my friends and I, we were like, we want to find therapists because we're helping everybody else. We're the friend that everyone relies on. We need a space.
That's right. Keep your reputation.
You gotta be black, gotta be female, gotta be Christian, be a sound Christian. It was such a long list, and it took time.
Yeah.
For each of us, when we looked, believing by faith, we would find. We all found someone that we felt safe with. So I believe if it's something that maybe is a fear, or you're not sure, or there may be an issue, maybe like I just want someone who understands me, so I don't have to over-explain and be re-traumatized by sharing my story. I believe God will have counselors like pastors or mentors or a licensed clinician or therapist, particularly if there are some that are saved, because there are great Christian therapists out there and counselors.
I agree.
And he will make sure and see to it, because healing is the children's bread. Make sure that you'll be able to heal, because that matters to him as well. So, but
and I do like the idea of, one having that vent buddy or mentor that they're able to go to, and the mentor has created a safe space. I've mentioned many times before, my mentor is Reverend Marion K. McLaurin, as well as Pastor Days now in this season of my life. But I've never not had a safe space to vent how I was feeling to him and or Pastor Days. And, that is just such a place of liberty. And
it's so free in those spaces.
It's so liberating and free to be able to do that, to get everything all off your chest, you get that weight off your shoulder. But not only are you releasing, but as you're releasing, they are able to fill you. And I think that's even more kind of fill you and equip you to just continue on in the journey. Even for me in ministry, I'm trusting the journey. As you have said, I'm trusting that journey, no matter what the process may look like. But along the way, I know I have those mentors that are able to help me, even if I might trip a little or stumble. They're there to encourage me, and I think that's a really great thing to have. I'll tell anybody, man, listen, find you some mentors, like the language you gave it, find you some vent buddies, and even if you're not into necessarily the clinical portion of that, you still need someone to have a space for you where you can vent, where you can take everything off and just be yourself and be able to be encouraged in that space, not judged, but have a free space of liberty, and they will speak to that area of your life to encourage you and equip you to send you back out. I think that's extremely important. So, find you some mentors, find you some vent buddies, and do what you have to do, for your mental health. It's very, very, very important during this time. And like I said, we all took a bit of a hit with COVID and having to be stuck in a house away from people, not able to hug and or fellowship. And we all might have something that someone can help us with. So definitely find someone who you trust, and take care of that. You'll thank yourself later for it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's important. I love that Mrs. Days always shares a small piece of the word. I'll do a mini version of that, and then because she does it best. The Bible says it's not good for a man to be alone. And people always take that straight to marriage, where in the context, I believe that's what he's referring to. But if you're going through a hard time, especially our church family, you are not alone. For one, Jesus says he'll never leave nor forsake you.
Yes.
But then he's going to have people around you, prayerfully in our church and ministry, in work, in different places, to make sure you are not by yourself. That there's someone else that you can walk with and talk through life with.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask Indra, for even adults or children, what are some initiatives, you shared one, that you maybe would suggest? Pastor Days and Mrs. Days are amazing counselors of peace.
Yes.
We all go to them.
Absolutely.
And please know the Second Baptist Church is an amazing church in general. There's so many great people here. But are there any specific, I could think of maybe my job is one too, but are there any places, Indra, that you would suggest, even if it's a shameless plug, as well, how people can get tapped into work that you're doing too?
Well, I have a website. The website is www.thetrustyourjourneyproject.com. I'm really big on sharing resources that I believe people are going to use. So, the hotline numbers seem to have the best I would say, I guess, maybe results when, students and parents come back to me and say, you know what, I called that number. Because again, too, I think the first steps to getting people to really believe into taking their mental health seriously is we got to give them resources that we know they're going to use.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to really believe that a lot of our people are negligent or ignorant. They just don't know what they don't know. And so, or they're not equipped, they don't have the right tools. And so the hotline numbers really work because, too, if we're saying that we have some trust issues, so they know that when they call a hotline number, they don't know the person on the other end. So a lot of times they're more apt to share. And again, like Brother Kevin said, a lot of times too, when you call these hotlines, everybody on the other end of the hotline, they are trained to really be active listeners and not necessarily always give feedback. Because like Brother Kevin said, a lot of times, sometimes you just got to get it out.
Yeah.
So again, I share the Mobile Responsive Perform Care resource, which is a local resource in New Jersey. That can be Googled, or I can make sure I email all that information to Sister Lourdes when we finish today. Second floor, if you Google second floor, they have a hotline number that is specifically for teens. Because like we had already mentioned, a lot of times our teens aren't always open to share. But again, it's a hotline specifically for teens who want counseling support, want emotional and social learning support. And I would also, again, I continue to share the Taraji Henson Foundation as well, because I mean, a lot of times when things are connected to celebrityism, our people respond. So if that's the case, again, we just want them to start the process and getting some of the support that they need, and that's them making that call. And so I can share the Taraji Henson's Foundation with you as well, because she's a huge celebrity advocate for mental health, especially in Black and brown communities. But I would really just start there, because a lot of times too, we don't want to overwhelm with a whole lot of resources.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying, to be honest, those are the three that I use.
That's good. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, and on my website, I have a new tool. It's called the TQ, and it's actually it's like a toss pillow, but they're beautiful because they are aesthetically connected to our culture with the kente material and some of the things that are vibrant to us as a culture. But it really encourages meaningful dialogue with our teenagers, and I've actually used it during some of the presentations I've done with the LIT program, and man, the kids loved it.
That's good.
Yeah,
They were eager to share. And so actually I'm going to gift one to Second Baptist, to our youth ministry, and I'm also going to gift one to the LIT program as well. Because we just got to, like we all are saying, build those relationships where they at least feel safe enough to share.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that. And that's a blessing that we have these tools to be able to help out, and to reach our youth wherever they might be. And again, it's all about creating those relationships, all about creating those spaces where they feel comfortable to come to us, where they feel comfortable sharing with us whatever they may be experiencing. I have to tell this quick baby story, and I'm going to have Sister Indra do closing remarks, and then we're going to get on out of here. I'm trying to remember, and you may be able to help me out. Sister Indra, back when I was a young little lad.
Don't make me feel that old.
Young little lad.
Young little lad. My God.
I can't remember what school it was.
Okay.
It could have been South Maine, I'm not sure. But whatever school I was in, I believe you were our creative writing teacher. I believe it was creative writing. And long time ago. And while you were that teacher, I don't ever remember you not being encouraging in the process of that class. And being that small, I've had classes where they weren't so, but I feel like every time we came to creative writing, we had a wonderful time. She encouraged us, she empowered us, she equipped us before I even realized what that stuff was. And that was then.
Yeah.
Right? And now look at what it is that you're doing today, and what a blessing it is that I actually remember that being very young, whatever grade I was, but I was very young, and you being our creative writing teacher, and you always being encouraging. Some of that stuff sticks with you. I thank you personally for that. I was one of those knucklehead kids in the class. Okay, you probably don't remember that hair then, but I was there, and I remember you, and I remember how encouraging you were as a teacher, and I just thank you for always having a heart for, encouraging youth, making sure that they know they are more than what they are, more than conquerors, if you will, and that, that was a blessing to me, as well as many other kids, I'm sure, that we may never get to talk to, but I'm sure they remember those things. So that's my little quick story. I just want to give it to you for any final comments to the church today. Anything you might want to add. Go ahead.
Oh man, I first want to say thank you. Together, y'all are lit. Y'all had some beautiful questions, no, for real. Like, the energy is real. So I thank you.
We love
look, Mr. Townsend, thank you for having me on. I thank my pastor and our first lady. But most importantly, it's so funny. Look, you took me all the way back. I remember when I was a creative writing teacher on the cart. Classroom for wheels. And so, my mom used to encourage me every single day when I used to take that drive in the mornings to South Main Street. And this was before I was a parent myself, and she used to always say, Indra, go teach the kids.
Yeah.
And just to kind of mirror something that you said early in our discussion, the kids and people in general might not necessarily, and this is not my own words, I'm just rephrasing, kids and adults and people in general may not necessarily remember what you say to them, but they'll always remember how you make them feel.
Yes.
And so I used to always say to myself, I don't ever want anybody to have to heal from something I said to them that wasn't empowering.
Yes.
So, the real deal is that at the end of the day, we all have different visions and goals and aspirations. But as we continue to trust our journeys, I want us to keep in mind, especially as it relates to kids, that when we serve kids, we don't serve egos.
Yes.
And so I continue to remind myself of that every single day when I go out and do this work, because it's not easy working with other people's children all the time. But I keep saying to myself, Indra, you serve kids, not egos. You serve kids, not egos. And that's what I continue to do to keep my own resilient tank full. And as I continue to trust my own journey.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Anything you would like to add to that, honey? You were closing out.
That was good.
I love you.
That was absolutely
I love you, bro.
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I can testify that you did, affect the way I felt about myself, even then as a child and even today. Thank you for that. And we thank God that you have a heart for youth to make sure that they are and stay in a positive mental space. We need more people like you. And, I really do appreciate you, Sister Indra, and all you're doing, everything with Princess Sing and Trust Your Journey. I love your family. I really do love your family.
My family loves you. That's why I can't keep saying it enough. I love y'all.
Yeah,
my mom loves y'all. We love y'all.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited that you decided to come and be with us, even in this moment. Thank y'all, Second Baptist Church, for joining us tonight. You all have been a great blessing to us, and we hope you were blessed by the information we've shared tonight. We thank God for Sister Indra Owens being a part of us, and also giving us some tools that we can utilize to help with our mental health, and even with dealing with our youth and their mental health. So we thank you so much for joining us tonight. We pray you have a great night. We'll see you next Sunday at 7 p.m. for Family Check-In. You all be blessed, and we'll see you then.
God bless you.
Have a good night.
Good night.